Hello, Jen here with a layout for the Wild Whisper design team. It is fandom month, you guys, and I am so excited. March is the release of the fandom collection, and it's basically a collection with all of my, but yours as well, I'm sure, favorite geeky fandoms. So Doctor Who, of course, is my number one, but there's also Harry Potter and Star Wars and The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, which my daughter is totally obsessed with. So yay, I'm so excited to start playing around. Now I do have one big major project that I want to do with this. I'm going to be scrapbooking a little mini album of all of our pictures from last year's Comic Expo. But before I do that, I needed to make a Doctor Who layout. I mean, that is my number one geeky fandom, what I love. So of course I wanted to do that and jump right into this collection with that first off. So this paper is not one of the Wild Whisper papers. It's actually from Prima. It's from their Moonchild collection, and I just love this galaxy, and it was the perfect thing to scrapbook a Doctor Who layout. So I wanted to jazz it up a little bit though, even though it's totally gorgeous on its own, and I'm really sad that I'm not using anything from the other side of that paper, but I added a few stamps, some stars, and just embossed them with gold. Not gold, with silver embossing powder, just to give it that extra bit of sparkle and depth. So I think the paper is even more gorgeous now. And those are just random stamps that I had. I just went through all of my stamp sets and tried to find a few different stars. So there's some Christmas ones, and one of them was like a holiday stamp set of, Canada Day and St. Patrick's Day and all that kind of stuff. So stamped those all around and embossed them, and now I am altering my little TARDIS. So this TARDIS comes from the ephemera pack. The ephemera pack is amazing. There are so many die cuts in that pack. I love it. But I wanted it to be blue like the actual TARDIS, so I decided to use that gelato. That was kind of the blue that I felt was the closest to what it is, what the TARDIS actually is. So because Wild Whisper paper is so nice and glossy, I was able to actually color right onto the little die cut and kind of smudge it with my fingers, but it didn't spread quite as much as I wanted. So that's why I added it to that piece of packaging and put it on like a watercolor, and this worked out really, really well. And then I just added a few extra little details, lightening up the windows, and here I'm going to add some yellow to the light that's on top of the police box. And when it dries, I'll go back and use a black pen and just fix up the words and kind of add some of those little extra details that I know are in the TARDIS. So now this paper is from Wild Whisper. It's actually from their More Adventures collection, and it's got this gorgeous constellation pattern on it, and I've kind of been hoarding it. There's one chunk taken out of it from a layout I did when I was working on some design team stuff with this particular collection, but I've kind of been hoarding that leftover piece because I just love that constellation pattern, and the nice blue matches the TARDIS, and so I thought this was a great piece of paper to use with this layout. You can also see to the side there I have a piece of paper that is just a little leftover from a 12 by 12 sheet, and it has that piece right there. It has a whole bunch of repeating TARDISes, and it's kind of this nice ombre effect on the paper. I've already actually cut my papers up because I'm going to be doing the mini album, but I have a few little bits and pieces left, so I really want to try and find a way to incorporate this into my layout. I haven't quite figured it out yet though, so I'm just going to take it away for now and kind of play around with the things that I know I want to put down. So I pulled out some stars from the ephemera pack as well and have those scattered around, and I sort of know this is where I want my picture to go, but I'd like to have some more sparkle, some more glitz. So I'm going to go ahead and use this acrylic paint. It's just like a clear acrylic paint with silver sparkle in it. And I'm just going to put this sort of around the border where my picture is going to go. And it just adds a little bit of shine and kind of keeps the attention drawn onto the picture. And I just put that on with the sponge because it was what was convenient. I had it with me. I've been using it quite a bit, so it's kind of sitting out on my table, and it just worked well to move all of that glitter around in the paint. So I figured while I have to let this dry anyways, I might as well go ahead and do some splatters. So I had a little bit of that blue left over on the packaging, so I'm going to splatter that kind of in the four corners. And then I also have some of the white acrylic paint. Excuse me. I just really like how this really adds a lot of depth to the galaxy paper, because there's definitely lots of little stars and splatters and colors on the paper, but this sits on top of it, and the different textures soak into the paper in different ways. So it really kind of gives a cool effect, especially when you're looking at it in person. Obviously, it's hard to see with the camera here, but in the still shots, you'll be able to see how the colors just really pop off of the background. And I even managed to splatter a little bit of that silver paint too. It didn't work out super well just because it's thick and it's basically glitter, but depending on how you hold the layout and how it hits the light, you actually do get some little silver glitter in there. So I used my heat tool to dry that, and now I'm just going to put some pop dots behind my picture. I saved you from having to watch me do that because it took forever. But I basically just pop dotted my photo and stuck it down, and now that my police box is dry, I can go ahead and add a few little details onto that, just rewriting the word police box and kind of adding some of the details that I know are in the TARDIS. And then I can stick that down as well. And I'm kind of basing where it's going to go from the paper itself. I want it to go in the center of that sort of galaxy cluster. So that's why my picture is where it is. In the end, I decided I needed to put something else up at the top because I felt like it just wasn't balanced very well. It's not in the best place. It's not where I probably would have stuck it. So to kind of give the eye a little bit more balance, I'm going to put this paper sort of as a bit of a border at the top and left hand side of the layout, and that just balances the weight of the photo being at the bottom right. And I ran out of my ATG, of course. I have to go get some more. I keep forgetting, but I really do need to start ordering it in bulk, I think, instead of having to constantly run out to Michael's and get it. But there's enough glue on there for now, and I'll just use some pop dots to stick down those other two corners, if I can find them. Yep, there they are. I have so many of these little glue dots. They're from EK Success, and they were at, I think it was Dollarama, for $1.25 per pack, and there's something like 400 dots in each pack, so I stocked up. They're really great for sticking things down on top of mixed media, though. They're really, really sticky, and so I do like to use them on layouts where I have a lot of mixed media and I need my ephemera and buttons and things to stick over top of it. So I'll go ahead and stick down my little stars. I have a black one, a red one, and a teal one in each of those corners. And again, I just like how that kind of gives a different texture to the layout as well. So you have some stars that are kind of shiny and embossed, and then you have some more sort of matte, flat ones. So for my title, I picked a quote from Doctor Who, obviously. So it says, "Never run when you're scared." And I thought that was really good for me with a picture of two of the most notorious Doctor Who villains. It's actually a picture from the Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle we visited last summer, and it was so much fun. We really loved it. I know other museums have exhibits kind of like this, but it's the first time we'd ever been to one like that. So there was one room, or one section was fairy tales and things like The Princess Bride and Lord of the Rings and that kind of stuff. Then there was this really cool horror section. We loved that one because we're big horror fans. And then, of course, this sci-fi section with Star Trek and Star Wars and all kinds of cool stuff. And, of course, these two guys here. So I couldn't resist not taking a selfie with a Cyberman and a Dalek. And I had to scrap it. So I knew that this collection was probably coming out, and saved these photos for just the right time. So that is it for my layout. I'm just putting on some finishing touches with my Signo Uniball white gel pen, and I'm also going to add some sequins. There's an exclusive Spiegel Mom Scrap sequins pack that matches the Fandom collection. And I fussy cut a couple of these little TARDIS to put in there too. Just, you can't have enough TARDISes on a layout. So my camera's going to cut out, unfortunately, but you'll see that in the stills. And all the links are down below for the shop and for the blog. Please remember to use DTGen when you check out for 10% off your purchase. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And until next time, happy scrapping. Bye.